Hey everyone, I just wanted to start this video off by asking a couple of questions, in the format of a Family Guy cutaway gag. So, to begin, do you remember the time whenever YouTube was not even a mainstream platform and you had to search for it onto the browser itself? Do you remember the time whenever YouTube was nothing but anime and music videos, like pirated anime and music videos that you would get to see? Or do you remember whenever YouTube was only known for so few creators, where it was just a niche of creators that were really big? Biggest examples I could say were PewDiePie, Smosh, and Higa, just to name a few that were big from the beginning. And now we just look at YouTube now, and it's completely different 20 years later. Completely different than what you'd expect it to be, and how it even grown out to be compared to the beginning. They are two completely different entities. One was controlled by the human aspect, while the other was controlled by the artificial aspect. And by that I mean AI. It's interesting seeing how big of a difference things have changed over time, ever since the debut of it. Now, I remember a lot of those things from before that I was asking in the beginning, when we included in the Family Guy cutaway gag of remember the time. Now, to quote Family Guy once again, the wise Peter Griffin once said that he did not care for The Godfather because it insists upon itself. Now, personally, I like to agree and believe that YouTube insists upon itself. The AI stuff, the shorts, the short form consumption of content, all that sort of thing just insists upon itself. Hell, you can see it through other media outlets other than YouTube, such as TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, uh, just where everything is short form content. And before all that, you had Vine, which was also another short form content thing. And in a way, I guess you could say it kind of inspired the creation of that, with the whole short form consumption, with people, with watching anything, with doing anything, with being able to think. It's just the equivalent of a goldfish brain. There is not really much emphasis put into long form content, to say the least. YouTube Shorts is very dominant in that regard, and it's just insane that the day and age that we're in now, to see how big of a difference that sort of thing is. 2025 itself has just been a very interesting year, to say the least, for media, for the world, for everything really, technology, people. One of the biggest things I've noticed from what I've seen around, and that I've also done, is just refraining from media and going back to older forms of technology. The 3DS, the DS, older PlayStation games. Uh, there's people going back to physical medias for books. Um, Going back to older forms of communication with older forms of phones. Basically dropping the whole smartphone. Cameras. I've seen people use PSPs as cameras in this day and age. Um, Same with 2DSs and DSIs. It's just interesting seeing that all the emphasis on technology, especially with the AI insisting upon itself in everything. I'm sure there is no commercial now regarding technology that doesn't have some sort of AI feature that is included in it, or that they will either bring it up when they're advertising it. But regardless, it's going to be there one way or another. And it's interesting because this day and age, it just feels like something you would see out of science fiction, with, science fiction with all sorts of dystopian, futuristic, robot takeover type of ordeals. Now, I'm not saying that's the case, but it's just a funny coincidence that it feels like we are in that day and age, especially with the rise of AI just being more and more prevalent ever since the start of the 20s. But aside from that, to wrap up this video, I wanted to make this for the sake of it. just to be able to have something to talk about. Maybe you'll have a little bit of gameplay to see while I'm talking about this. But either way, take care, brush your hair, and y'all take care. Here's hoping 2026 will have a better conclusion than 2025 has during 2025 being the unique year that it is.